Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here today because I wanted to, that's awful. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It is super late while I'm filming this, but I needed to get my thoughts out on the Oob and Mr. Boo leader that will be releasing in set 21, and my thoughts on it. Honestly, I'll tell you straight up front, I feel like this deck is missing something. It's missing that oomph to it. It's missing that real, like, strategy. Because if the strategy is what I think it is, it's going to be another mid-tier blue deck that's just not going to see competitive play. I'm hoping I'm wrong, though. But let's talk about it here. Front side, Mr. Boo. I'm sorry, front side, Oob. When this card attacks, draw one, typical leader ability. That's it. It doesn't have any other special ability. Awaken when your life is at 4 or less, or there is a blue Mr. Boo Z battle card with a cost of 2 in play. Draw one, switch one of your energy to active mode, and then add cards from your life to your hand until you have 6 life left. So very basic stuff, nothing like amazing. Nothing like unique on the front side. Then we have the backside, Oob and Mr. Boo, Resonating Fates. When this card attacks, draw one. Additionally, if this card attacks your opponent's leader, and there are no cards in your opponent's combo area, at the beginning of that battle's damage step, draw an additional card. So this is basically saying if your opponent doesn't combo something every time this card attacks its leader, their leader, then you can draw an additional card. That's interesting in itself, but it's going to force your opponent to combo, which more than likely, they're going to just charge that card into Z energy, which is the whole point of this deck, which I'll get into in a little bit. Activate main, once per turn, add up to 1 battle card in your opponent's drop area to their Z energy. That, I feel like, is an awful ability. It's just basically saying, hey, you know a card you comboed with that you couldn't add to your Z energy? Let me add that card into your Z energy real quick. The whole point of this deck is to give your opponent a bunch of Z energy. And for what reason, I have no idea, because really only 2 cards in this whole archetype seem to work with your opponent's Z energy. But yeah, that's the leader. 10k front, 15k on back. Let's hop into some of the cards here. Alright, first and foremost, we have Oob, Warrior Left on Earth. 15k, 3 drop. And its ability is Union Absorb, limit 1. If your leader is a blue Oob, your opponent has 5 or more Z energy, and you place one Mr. Boo from your drop under this card. Play up to 1 blue Oob with an energy cost of 6 from your deck on top of this card in active mode. Then shuffle your deck. So you can attack with this card and then use the Union Absorption to basically restand it with a bigger attacker. When this card attacks, use it to 1 mono blue card with 5k combo power from your drop in a combo with the skills negated for the turn. That's a pretty good ability. I like that. But it's only when this card attacks, so it helps you charge up your Z energy, but I really wish like the leader had that kind of ability or some more important card. And activate main, limit 1 for 1 blue energy. If your leader is a blue Oob and you have 2 or more energy, play this card from your hand. So by turn 2, you can play this card. So that's pretty neat. I think this is one of the better cards in the archetype. Next one we have Oob, Standing Up to a Threat. Basically, this is the set's, this is blue super combo. If your leader is blue and your life is at 4 or less, when this card is used in a combo, draw 1. I really wish they would do more with super combos besides just the life is at 4 or less, draw 1. Because there's really no point in playing this if the other super combo, like the ones from set 11, exist. But anyway, it's there. Let's see, we're not going to do the super combo, SRs yet. Let's do Mr. Boo in Disguise. This does feature a couple different Majin Buu cards. Well, in this case, Mr. Boo. When this card is played from your hand, draw 1. So basically, just a 1-drop, draw 1. If your leader is a blue Oob, auto, your opponent has 3 or less Z energy, so early on. When this card is used in a combo, your opponent draws 1, and then your opponent adds 1 card from their hand to their Z energy. I really don't like that. It's cool. Your opponent gets to cycle essentially a card from hand and charge a Z energy. Ouch. Why? Next, you have Mr. Boo for Friendship. Blocker, 15k, with the cost of 3. When this card is played and you and your opponent draw one, then your opponent adds 1 card from their hand to their Z energy. So you don't get a chance to add Z energy, it's just your opponent, but you're also giving your opponent a card draw. And then activate main, limit 1 for 1 blue. If your leader is a blue oob and you have 2 or more energy, play this card from your hand. So, early plays. You know, turn 2 you can play this and the other oob. Blocker's cool. I don't like the ability of giving my opponent cards in hand and then giving them Z energy. Sure, I know you're essentially trading 1 card in hand at the end of it, but it's just, I don't know. Not a fan of that. Hercule, Friends Defense. Yeah, we do have some Hercule cards in here. When this card is played, look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck, add up to 1 Mr. Boo or Earthling with an energy cost of 4 or less to your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is essentially your turn 1 Searcher. Activate main, limit 1, place this card in your drop area. Play up to 1 Mr. Boo in Disguise from your deck or hand, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So essentially you can play this and then drop it to play a Mr. Boo in Disguise, so then when that card is played, nope, the auto does not trigger because it has to be played from hand, and this plays from deck or hand. Okay, so that's cool. As long as it's in your hand, you get to draw 1. If it's from deck, you don't. Which, I mean, it's just, at that point, you would always want to play this from hand. You would never want to play it from deck. Sorry, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm very confused on what the point of this deck is. Let's see, I think that's the last of the commons and uncommons. Then we have Hercule, Earth Champion. 1k power for 2. Counterplay, play this card. Auto, limit 1, if your leader is a blue oob, when this card is played, draw 2. At first I thought this would be a great card, just a generic good card for blue, but realizing that this card is solely for blue oob leaders, but like that you pay 2, you can counterplay a card. The card still stays in play. You just get to draw 2 cards, and then I guess you have 5k common power to work with. It's okay, not amazing, but it's a solid card. I wish it would have been way better if it actually did something to the card that was played. Next up we have Oob, Intercepting Kamehameha. Union Absorb. It's a 4k. Sorry, it's a 4-cost 20k. Union Absorb, limit 1. If your leader is a blue oob, your opponent has 5 or more Z energy, and you place 1 blue Mr. Boo from your drop area under this card, play up to 1 blue oob with an energy cost of 8 and 30k power from your deck on top of this card in active mode. Then shuffle your deck. So essentially it grabs the big boss monster, one of the big bosses in the deck, and then activate main, limit 1 for 2 blue. If your leader is a blue oob, play this card from your hand. So essentially by turn 2, you could play this card. You won't get its other ability, but still, it's a 20k beat stick for 2. It's okay. Not amazing, not great, not bad. It's okay. Next, hopping into Oob, Body Resistance. This is one of the cooler cards, I think, in the archetype, but it just feels like... I'll explain. Permanent. If it's your turn, and this card is under a leader, the leader on top of this card gets minus 5k power, and this card can't be removed from the leader area by a skill other than this card's skills. Now, you're probably wondering, what does that even mean? I'll explain. Its other ability, Auto Limit 1. When this card is played from your hand or deck, like from one of the other cards, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and add it to its owner's Z energy. Place this card from the battle area under your opponent's leader at the end of the turn. Then, play this card from under your opponent's leader at the start of your main phase. So at the end of your turn, this goes onto your opponent's leader. Essentially, you take a life, and then you choose one of their battle cards in play and send it to their Z energy. It's okay. Like, you're taking a life, which is never great, and then you're getting rid of a battle card, but you're getting it into your opponent's Z energy, which is its resource material, its resources they get to use now. But you can play this card for 1 if your leader is a mono blue Earthling or a Majin. So this is the cool thing. It can be thrown into old school Majin Buu. Like Blue Buu, it is playable. But like I said, if your leader is a mono blue Earthling or a Majin Buu and your opponent has 2 or more energy, play this card from your hand. So the auto will be the auto is triggerable when this card is played from hand. When your opponent has 2 energy for 1. So basically, during your opponent's turn, their leader will get minus 5k, which means if they want to swing in with that leader and cause damage, they do have to give it an additional 5k. It is a little bit of a hindrance, but it could help out. But the fact that this card is it's not an every turn thing. If it was an every turn, like during your opponent's turn, this card stayed on your opponent's under your opponent's leader and gave them that minus 5k for the long haul, like sick. Like they still get their 5k on your turn, but on their turn they lose the 5k. So they still can keep that power for defensive purposes, but not for offensive. It's very, like, it makes sense because in the show, Oob did this to Baby. Well, Majub, well, that's another thing. There's no longer Majub, it's just Oob. But anyway, this is one of the highlight cards, like one of the bigger cards in this archetype, and it's okay. Once again, it's not amazing. Oh, before we get this one, actually, let's hit up the one Goku card in this archetype. SS3 Son Goku, Warrior Savior. He's unique with blocker, auto limit 1. Oh yeah, he's a 3-drop, 20k. Auto limit 1. If your leader is a blue Oob, when one of your blue Oob cards with an energy cost of 6 or more is removed from your battle area by a skill, play this card from hand. Once per turn, when this card activates blocker, switch this card to active mode. So essentially it could be up to 2 blocks if it survives the first one. And it's a free play if your 6-drop or higher Oob is removed. It is unfortunate that it's not from deck, it's only from hand, but like I kinda get it. Like you wouldn't be able to just pop a card from, like you would be able to just play a card from your deck. It's super late when I'm recording this, guys, I'm sorry. It's okay. It's I think it's one of the better cards in the archetype, but it's okay. And then finally, the last battle card in this is Oob Focused Full Strength Blow. Deflect, Double Strike, 8 drop, 30k. It's permanent. Reduce the cost of this card in your hand by 3 for each card in your opponent's Z energy. So, quick version, your opponent has 2 Z energy, this card costs 2 to play. If your leader is mono blue, and your opponent has 3 or more energy, when this card is played, draw 1, choose up to 3 battle cards in your opponent's battle area, or drop and send them to the owner's Z energy. So it can essentially get rid of 3 cards on board, which that's solid, really good. Hate that they're going into Z energy, but it is still technically board removal. And you do draw a card. If you and your opponent, once per turn auto, if you and your opponent have a total of 7 or more Z energy, when your opponent activates counter, they add 1 card from their hand to their owner's Z energy. This is a once per turn, so essentially your opponent wants to counter play or counter attack something, they have to then send a card from their hand to Z energy. I don't see the punishment. There is no punishment. Cool, they get to charge an additional card to Z energy. And it doesn't even have to be a battle card. At least I don't remember if Z energy has to be battle cards, but it specifically says just add a card from hand, not battle card. This is the big boss monster of the deck, and it's neat 2-cost 30k double striker, but it has the deflect is its only protection. Yeah, it's definitely one of the better cards in the archetype. But I don't know. I was just waiting this whole time during the reveals. I'm like, where's the punishment? Where's the punishment for your opponent having Z energy? And this is just not it. And then we have 3 Z cards. First of all, the Z leader, Oob, Fusion of 2 Spirits, 20k Z leader, which is great. We love to see that. 3 Z energy to play it, and 1 blue energy. Z Awaken. If you have 3 or less life and you place 1 blue Mr. Buu from your drop under this card, and you can evolve it onto a blue Oob. So this does technically work on the other Oob leader from the World Martial Arts Tournament set, which is not a great one. When this card attacks, auto once per turn, draw 1. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and add it to its owner's Z energy. So it is technically board removal, all going to Z energy. Activate main once per turn. If your opponent has 5 or more Z energy, choose it to one of your blue Oob battle cards under a blue Mr. Boo and switch to rest mode. Now, I think this is an errata or some type of ruling that has not been officially shown off. Apparently, I've read that certain judges are declaring that if a card underneath a stack, like the card on the bottom of the stack, is switched to active mode, all cards on top of the stack are also switched to active mode. But yeah, it just seems like a very weird way of writing it. I'm not sure. And then finally, activate battle once per turn. If your opponent has 10 or more Z energy, this card gets 10k power and double strike for the battle. So it's only once per turn activate battle. I think that's a pretty cool ability because your opponent's gonna have a ton of Z energy. Unless they start using it to play Z battle cards fairly easy, which I can't imagine they wouldn't. The fact that this is not a permanent is really unfortunate. This would have been a great punishment. Like now you have 30k double strike Z leader because your opponent has too much Z energy. That would have been a great punishment for your opponent, but nope, don't have that. Then we have Oob, holder of Majin power, 3 cost with 2 Z energy, 20k attacker. When this card is played, this card gains barrier for the turn. If your leader is a blue Oob and it's your turn, when one of your opponent's battle cards is added to their Z energy, choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards from their battle area or drop area added to its owner's Z energy. So essentially you're dropping 2 Z energy per turn to your opponent. Once again, it is board clear, but it's helping them get Z energy. Activate battle once per turn. If your opponent has 3 or more Z energy and you have an Oob in a battle, place up to 2 cards from the top of your deck into your drop area. Then use up to one of your mono blue cards with a combo cost of 5k from your drop with its skills negated for the turn. This is okay. It's more aggro. It just says when an Oob is in battle, so that can mean leader, battle card, Z battle card. It's just more aggression. It's an okay card. And finally, Mr. Boo Majin Defender. It is a blocker. 2 cost, 1 Z energy, 10k. It's a Z stack 1 with a blue Oob battle card with a cost of 3, so that's where you play the other one that we just looked at. Permanent. If your leader is a blue Oob, your opponent has a leader who is a Z leader, has 3 or more Z energy, or has a Z battle card in play, and this card would be removed from the battle area. You may play 1 blue Oob with an energy cost of 3 from under this card, on top of this card in active mode instead. When this card is played, your opponent draws 1 card and adds 1 card from their hand to their Z energy. Once again, it's giving your opponent more, it's letting your opponent look at their deck way more than they should. And it's just, so this card can block. Because it does say when this card would be removed from a battle area. So I'm not sure if that means like, because it doesn't say removed from a battle area by skills or by KO. It just says removed. Maybe it can be KO'd, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll have to do a little bit more research. But yeah, this essentially is the Majin, the Oob and Mr. Boo archetype. And to be honest with you, I feel like this is a big letdown. I love the character of Oob, and I was really excited to hear that he was coming back into this game with a new leader in this set. First of all, not making it Majoob is pretty sad. I don't understand why they can't make him that. But also, this leader, this archetype feels very underwhelming. There's not any punishment for your opponent having so much Z energy, because you playing red, yellow, or blue, they have so many great Z battle cards that giving them all this extra Z energy, yeah, it's annoying that their hand is getting they're having to take cards out of their hand and put it into their Z energy, or battle cards and put it into their Z energy. But the fact that a lot of these cards also let your opponent draw one and then place a card into their Z energy, it gives them choice what they put in there. So it's just, I don't know. It just feels like they wanted to... Like, this is an interesting archetype, but it's not a good one, at least from what I can tell. Now, obviously, we have to do some testing. The set comes out, I believe, next month or so, and I'm hoping I will be surprised. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong about this, but I just don't see it yet. But I will be doing testing and figuring out something. But what I will admit, what I absolutely will admit, is that there is... Everyone said there is one card that absolutely has to be run in this deck because it is now the only way... it is the only way for this deck to actually, like, win. And that is Golden Cooler Radiant Pride. 8-drop, 40k, double strike, blocker. When this card is played, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and send them to their owner's warps. Then, your opponent chooses 5 cards in their hand and sends the rest of it to their Z energy, and this card gains blocker for the turn. So, basically 40k, double strike, barrier. Solid. You can play it for 5 if your opponent has 4 or more energy. So the earliest you can play this card is turn 5. There is no way to play it out earlier. So it's definitely one of the more costly super Seeker Rares. Finally, activate main or battle. If this card is in rest mode, and you place 2 of your opponent's Z energy in their drop area, switch this card to active mode. So essentially, if you can get up to 12 Z energy in your opponent's Z energy zone, this card can swing in 6 times, and that's just a random number, which is amazing. But the fact is, a simple floodgate gets rid of this whole strategy, and that's the shitty part. This, like I said, this deck just feels incredibly... It's like there's something missing. And I swear to God, if Bandai puts a card that's in the tournament promos that is like almost necessary, or is necessary to play this deck, there needs to be a riot in the comment section, because this deck needs something more. But hey, this is just my take. What do you think about the Oob archetype coming out in set 21? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.